A couple days ago, I bought this variable ND filter, yeah, that tiny little thing, for my Osmo Pocket 2. And it's the ND filter that's labeled as an ND 2 to 400 variable ND on Amazon by Kase. Now, Kase makes a ton of ND filters for all kinds of cameras, so in buying the Kase ND filter as my first choice, I thought I was going to be getting something pretty amazing. But I tested it out and I decided that I wanted to order another variable ND filter, pretty much the only other one on the market, and test it against it. So the other one I ordered is the PGY Tech variable ND that goes from a 6-stop to 9 stops. Now, when you talk about ND factor in that, which is what Kase is measuring theirs by, it's about 64 ND to 512 ND. I'll pop up the factor chart that shows the difference between stops and factors right here, so you can kind of see the difference. So in theory, this one is 2 to 400 ND, and this one is 64 to 512 ND. The PGY Tech one I did open before starting this video, and here it is. So there they are next to each other, and so they're quite a bit different. They're different thickness. So the Kase ND is a lot thinner. The PGY Tech ND is a little bit thicker. Now I want to show you some of the stuff I got on the Kase one before I start talking about the PGY Tech, because there's a reason I ordered the PGY Tech. So check out this footage from the Kase and we'll get right back here and I'll talk about the PGY Tech and we'll test it out. Let's pull this little guy out. Oh man, it's so little. I'm gonna just go ahead and pop it on the Pocket 2. So that I like how slim it sits on there. That sits almost as slim as my other ones on there. And then it doesn't have any clicks. So you do have to kind of guess. You can see where the crossover is. You ever use a variable ND filter on anything else? There's a crossover, and if you're not careful, you'll shoot video with this crossover where you have like this edge will be dark and this edge will be dark. I actually could probably do it with the one I'm currently using right now. So it's all jacked up. And I don't know if I'm getting it or not. It's hard to tell if you're doing it in camera or not. So that is a problem with ND filters. Yeah, you can see when the crossover happens. So let me mess with my exposure here. It looks like on this, you definitely can see when it's gonna happen. I'm just gonna switch over to the Pocket 2 and talk to you from it, and I'll switch back to this camera if we need to show you something. We're on the Pocket 2, I have the filter on it. And I've been playing with it for a minute before I started recording again because I wanted to just, you know, I'm not gonna show you a product without messing with it. I'm almost as dark as it'll go right now. I'm sitting at 24 frames per second and my shutter speed is 1/50. I have it set at 100 ISO, so as low as it'll go on ISO. And this is about as dark as it'll get. Let's darken it up a little more before we get the crossover. So you notice how I'm dark in the center? That's your crossover. All right, so we're gonna go back to where we're not seeing that, right there maybe. What do you think? Let's go ahead and say right here is as dark as this filter goes. So this claims to be a 2 to 400 ND. And if this is not darker than my 64, I'm gonna lighten this up. If that is not darker than my 64 on my set ones, I'm sending it back. This is my 64 of my other one. Darker. Going back to the other image, same thing, side by side. This is 64 ND on a flat ND filter where it's not a variable ND. Are we better or worse? Do you think this is darker or this is less dark? As you can see, this is not 400 ND. It's no better than my 64. What is good about it is that it's variable, so I can go from inside to outside with it. I can change by going into the shade. I could be properly exposed out here, and well, actually, so my back's to the sun, you want to still see my face. Well, I can lighten it up without changing my settings and while still rolling the same film. So you can see my face, and yes, it's blown out back there, but I want my face exposed. But now my face is overexposed, and I can just, before not even hit off, adjust it a little bit for my face. So as you can see, I was less than satisfied with the Kase ND, and just my stock, my basic ND filters covered all of the bases that this one covers and doesn't have all that weird vignetting and crossover that I'm getting with the Kase variable ND. So I was like, I'm ordering the PGY Tech one. I have other PGY Tech products and I like them. So the PGY Tech one comes in this cool little case. So this is gonna be my carrying case for all my NDs for the Osmo Pocket 2, because I like the little carrying case it gives. It like clamps shut. I feel like it'd be semi-waterproof, and it's a little bit better than the one that my other ND filters had. So let's go ahead and put it on it, head outside, take some shots with it, and see what it's like. But before we head outside, I'm just gonna stick it on it real quick, and I'm gonna test out this ND filter on its lowest, which is 6. In theory, that should be 64 ND. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna check out this light with it, and then I'm gonna pop on my 64, and then we're gonna check out that light with my other 64 on it and see how accurate it is. Oh, and something else I realized when even getting this out of the box is instead of just rotating all the way around, this one actually stops. And it stops on the number. So we don't have that crossover problem, and you actually have a number on it showing you, where the case one doesn't have any numbers. You're guessing the whole time. And this one's actually cheaper. So the PGY Tech one comes in cheaper. I'll pop up the current prices right here. That might not be accurate when you're watching this video, but that's what it is while I'm filming it. So let's go ahead and test this. And we're shooting at its lowest setting, which should be 64. Let's pop it up next to the 64 on my regular ND set that's not a variable ND. And just to my naked eye on the monitor on the Pocket 2, it looks equal. All right, so that seems accurate to the 64. So that would make me believe that the 9 is truly 512-ish, and that's gonna be awesome for some long exposure photography. But let's go outside. I'm gonna chat to the Pocket 2, so we'll switch over to the Pocket 2 and I'll be outside with this ND filter on it. So with this PGY Tech unit on here, I'm currently shooting the same settings as inside, except my ISO is at 400. That's so that I can actually like use it outside. This is on their 6th setting, which on the unit itself, it actually shows up just under 6, like the way you twist it, but that's fine. And then when I rotate it to 9, it gets pretty dark. So I'm at -7 right now. So if I wanted to record like this, I'd have to bump my ISO. I'm gonna turn off for a second. I'm gonna bump my ISO because you can't do it while you're recording. I was wrong. I was at ISO 200. We're back at 800. I don't like to go above 800 on the Pocket because it just starts to get grainy. And I mean, like, I do if I'm in like a dark environment and I really need to use it and get footage, but you're gonna get grainy footage. And that's facts. So facts is facts, you know? So we're sitting at the 9-stop ND, which should be equivalent to 512 ND factor. And honestly, like, this ND filter seems way more accurate to what it's telling us. I really think just the quality of the build on the PGY Tech one is way better. If PGY Tech's checking out this video at all, I'd love to see one that goes down to like ND2, has the stops, and then comes up to 9. And I'm gonna go and test this out on some long exposure of waterfall and just see how it looks. This is definitely the one I'm probably keeping here, but let's just go get these long exposure waterfall pics before I make that drastic decision. It doesn't look like I'm having any crossover. That's awesome. I love the stops. PGY Tech, thanks for making a good variable ND filter for the Pocket 2. I highly recommend this ND filter, and I plan on going and doing more shooting with it. I real quick want to ask you guys, are you interested in seeing what a macro lens filter looks like on this thing? If so, please leave a comment down below and I'll buy it so you guys don't have to, but I've been looking at a couple that are listed on Amazon and there's one that looks kind of promising and I want to test it out, but I want to make sure there's interest in being able to use a macro lens. If I get enough comments about it, I'll buy it and I'll post it. Now to wrap this up, guys, I definitely picked the PGY Tech filter. It's hands down a better filter. It's darker, which is good and bad. Better for long exposure photography, but also works for all around outdoor use for me. PGY Tech, it'd be cool if you made one that went lower, but then stayed at the 9 stops for the high. Perfect. It's a great stop for the high to be able to go do long exposure photography, be able to stop it down if you got super bright sunlight on you and whatnot. But the build quality of this one is fantastic. Highly recommend it. Kase one, it's up to you, but you're paying more for the Kase one, but I don't like it. I don't like that you're paying more for it. Either way, I'll list both of them below. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more budget videography, to see more Pocket 2 stuff coming, Pocket 3 if they ever release the dang thing, but I definitely will buy it if they do. And check out my full Pocket 2 playlist right there. I'll see you guys next week. Go shoot something awesome. Don't forget to post your work. Be proud of your work. I'm out. Later, guys. Peace. See ya.